Then they could really groom the trails and get a base on it. Right now, they just be pushing
Yeah, you
that
should
stuff
be all
around
set
and it'll be
whenever
going
you're
around.
I'm still fighting with this.
When I was in Portland, Sunday, it was up high as I mean, it was, Dean was full.
We're not far from the trail here. Early mornings all the
Okay,
way.
we got an election here tonight.
We haven't seen you since last year.
Oh, yeah, I know.
How you been?
I'm still here. Main thing, I guess.
How was, Canada?
Well, our Christmas being, yeah, it's all right. We don't have as much snow as we do. At
If
least
you
I
ever
got
want to
over
put
here and
anything
back
on the
before
board, there
coming out
is
from taking Canada over,
HDMI
so
cable there, and there's a remote,
Oh.
if you ever want to
Didn't
put
hear anything.
anything.
Oh, okay,
People
perfect.
working
Good to
on my
know.
license plate.
Excellent, thank you.
Well, Denmark's offering, I don't know, too many zeros for me to pronounce, but for California.
Yeah, no, it's is it 2 billion or 2 trillion? I don't know. It might be 2 trillion.
Oh, there's a lot of zeros there.
I let him have it. Oh. Yeah.
You're like the people that crap on Southern Maine, they're the ones that support us. Californians support us.
Well, I guess it's time to turn on the microphone, so you don't have it on. And I'll call the February 12th meeting of the Caribou Utilities District Board of Trustees to order. First item on the agenda is the appointment of officers. Appoint district clerk.
I move to appoint Sue Sands as a district clerk.
Second.
All those in favor? Unanimous. Wow. Next, elect the president.
I nominate Gary Aiken.
Second.
Second.
Any other nominations?
Nope.
All those in favor? Treasurer, any nominations?
I would nominate David Martin.
I'll second that. All those, any other nominations for treasurer?
Nope.
All those in favor? Did we have an assistant treasurer last year?
Yeah, it was
Okay.
Phil.
Okay,
Phil was,
oh, all right. Assistant treasurer. Nomination.
I'll volunteer, somebody's gonna
I'll
do it.
nominate Dave Bellier.
Second.
Any other nominations? All those in favor? All right. Well, I have to stay here. I thought I might get to move. Review and approval of the minutes from the January 15th, 2025 monthly meeting.
Move to approve the January minutes, January 15th, 2025 monthly meeting minutes.
Hang on one second here. You better remove, oh, okay, you have me marked absent, sorry. I saw my name on there. Do we have a seconder for the minutes?
I'll second it.
All those in favor? Financial reports, budget and financial reports for the period ending January 2025. In the new format.
Yep. You want to take a look at the budgets first, and then we'll That works for you, Gary?
Well, we can.
Okay.
Any other questions on the budget?
I went through quite a lot of detail the other Monday, so I think I'm okay with it
Everybody feels comfortable with it?
so far, yes.
I did, when I've looked at it, I have concerns of when I look at the January profit and loss, so.
I think that's where I was gonna go next. I wouldn't get too hung up on the January because I think a lot of that stuff Tim is gonna move, the auditor's gonna move it because it's expenses that occurred in 2024, so there'll be adjusted journal entries that will get that out for next time.
And that's why the expenses, there are hardly any, to speak of,
Yeah.
because they are all of 24.
Yeah, because it's invoices that we paid in 2025 but actually belong in 2024's year, so
Okay.
the auditor provides adjusted journal entries to move those back.
Well, I have a bunch of questions on the profit and loss one, but we'll wait and finish this up.
Sure, yeah.
Anything else, David?
I have a question on line 675.5, miscellaneous subscriptions, dues and fees.
Yeah,
27,000, now that's quite a bit. What are these fees? Mineral water? How much is
They
that?
are.
How much is that?
Well, just from last year, the office expense for each water and wastewater was over $10,000, so.
For that
for-
fee?
For all of those fees, yes.
yeah,
We
it's
have
not just them,
support,
it's like there's the bond bank and
GIS,
yeah,
every
GIS stuff.
piece
There's
of software
yeah,
has.
So this is something we have to do, it's not
Mhm.
something we choose to do?
right. I would say very few of them are stuff we would choose to do. The ones that we choose to do, like I think you're referring to like Maine Rural Water's annual dues. We pay that, but we end up getting more back in return from support throughout the year to offset the, what is it, probably $600 a year in dues or something?
No, it had increased this year. Maine Rural Water was close to 1,500.
Okay,
But we do get money back because of the help that they do throughout the year.
yeah.
What line item was that?
First page, expense.
675.50,
It's under the water, Jay,
On this page,
budget.
27,000.
they're on this page you put out today.
Probably helped to look at the right one, I'm sorry.
This one.
Is there any reason these are not in numerical order? Wouldn't it be easier to, or not?
We could, I think it's more how they come out of QuickBooks is the kind of order they're in, but we can,
You'd have
They
to
can be
just
shuffled if you
adjust the QuickBooks.
yeah,
way
yeah, or-
it's-
yeah, it's not a big deal. If you want them in order, smallest to largest by account number, I can.
Well, that's how we refer to the line and
Yeah.
be easier to find if.
Yeah, yep.
I think when you look at the January statements, most of those are in order. A lot of them are in order on the expenses anyway. All right, any other questions on the budget? Do I have a motion to approve the budget?
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor? As long as we all understand that if we don't spend all the money that's in here, it's not a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
It's more not to exceed than to,
All right, now do we want to talk about the January statements? And I know there's a lot of things in here that there's no money in at all on the expenses.
yeah.
But when I look at the money that is in there, like on the wages, for the month, it shows $24,364.
We have combined the field wages, like there are 4 different accounts normally that would have a balance, and we combined those all together into one line item for water and the same on the wastewater.
Well, I'm looking at the water department, and all I'm looking at is 601-80.
That is the administration.
Yes,
That would be all of the office and John and myself.
well, my concern is when I look at the budget for 2025, it's $199,000. When I look at what we spent for the month, if I prorate that out 12 months, it's $292,000.
Is part of that, what Tim needs to move back for that last
No,
payroll?
the payrolls wouldn't be affected by the,
Was there three payrolls in January?
exactly. We did have 3, and I believe we had some PTO time that was taken by the employees.
Oh, okay, well, that might be the rest of it, because
Okay, yeah.
with the 3 payrolls, it would make some difference in that, but it certainly wouldn't bring it up to the 24,364. And,
But we did have 3.
yeah, my concern looking at this is if that's the way it's gonna stay, we're into a problem
Yeah,
already.
we're trending too high right off the bat, yeah.
And even on the field wages, it's the same thing. If you look at 188,000 for the year, and this month we've got 22,328,
But
again, you're gonna be, $260,000, $270,000.
But one thing, Gary, on the field wages, actually, we had 4 different accounts that were field wages. And like John said, he's combined them all into this one. So I think if you took what each of those 4 were budgeted for the year, it probably would be very similar to that total.
But there's, on this January statement, the only amount we have in there is the field wages is 188. Are you saying there's other field wages in this somewhere?
No,
No,
they're all
that's a
on that line.
combination of all 4 accounts.
Yeah, okay, I understand that, but again, we're still at the 22,328 rate, we're still $260,000 or something for the year. And I just don't want to be short, because these are now our budget numbers, and another one that stuck out to me right away was on the retirement. We have $13,000 in the retirement, and we basically in the first month paid $2,000 out. So we're gonna be close to $24,000 if it stays the same.
But don't forget, the water has their own figure and the wastewater has their own figure.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the water.
Okay.
If I look at the wastewater, I don't know, it might be the same thing.
Yeah, Gary, if I take like the field wages and divide it by 3 pay periods, and then multiply it by 26 pay periods, it comes out to like 190. So it puts us right in, it's right in line.
If you take the field wages
Yep.
and divide it by 3 pay periods,
Yep.
that gives you how much?
It's about 7,000 plus, 7,500 per pay
Yeah,
period,
74.42.
times 26 brings you to what
Yeah,
the budget
brings you
is.
to 1.
It's close to the 188.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
The health insurance and that's not paid every month anyway, is it? It's a 3-month deal?
No, it is paid monthly, and that figure represents 2 months months because the way we have the deductions for December that pay for January, and then January's deductions pay for the February premium. And as it was, the February premium came in and Cheryl paid that as well.
And has the health insurance, has that stayed about the same as last year, or is it?
No, it went up 9%.
9.4.
And then we also had one employee that was not on health insurance, so he received the stipend at 75%. Now he's on the health insurance. And then we added a new employee that was not budgeted for that last year. So you didn't see it on the expenses last year because he just came on late in the year, but so there's the other full-time employee that has the health insurance. So when you add up those three things, it's.
And I couldn't understand when I look at the long-term debt payments. For the budget we've looked at, and this is just on the water again, we've looked at $381,000 this year. And yet for the month, it's only been $5,590.
Yep.
Is that just because that's our share of the?
No, so most of our debt service, it's split up into two payments. One early in the year, that's like half the interest for the year. Then the second one, that's usually late in the fall, is second half of interest and the principal payment. So we've only received, it was probably one of our long-term loans
Loans, yes.
had interest paid. So the bulk of that will stay low all year long, and then like October, November, and December, it's gonna go from,
Okay.
from in the single thousands or 10,000 to the 381.
All right. And I guess even the same categories fall on the wastewater department. There's one thing, I like this setup. And there is one thing though that could work with this. When I look at these accounts are nearly all identical, depending on the department. If we had a master page for the whole thing, and there might be maybe 5 things on one side or the other that isn't on, but it would certainly easily give you a quick idea about where we're at in that month. And if you wanted to look further, you could look back on these 2 pages.
I think the reason that it's set up this way is to distinguish between the two companies. We have the wastewater that we have our own set of books for that, and then again on the water, and I think that's why.
Oh, I'm not saying to do away with these 2 pages.
Yeah.
I'm just saying you could have a master page. Maybe no one else is into that, but I know we've talked many times here about.
This is a lot better, but back to my first question, there's another 27,000 for fees in the water.
Yeah.
So why can't we have a line that says 54,000, subline 27,000 for water and 27?
But see, what I'm saying is they're both like that. I mean, both have administrative wages, field wages, admin and general expense, outsourcing, office supplies, communications. We have the same line on both statements. And if you can combine them, then it would give you the overall picture of the Caribou Utilities District and where we are at.
But one thing with the water, we have to keep separate accounts for the PUC.
Oh, I understand that, and I'm not saying not to keep the separate accounts. I'm saying
I
that,
just want a summary of the.
can we do the summary of the 2 together that shows us, as a board, where public utilities is at, that you can quickly look at, and then if we're off on something, we can look back and say, oh, that's just in the water department. The wastewater is doing what it should be, but the water department in that area isn't. Why? I don't know how much is involved to do it, John.
Yeah, I don't.
know, And I
I don't
don't
want to
want to
give you a quick
create.
answer just to give you an answer tonight, but
Yeah,
I can
no,
think about it and see if there's a way of maybe merging it into one where maybe wastewater's green and water's blue on each line or something to differentiate it, or, I'm not sure, but I could probably do something to get it on one.
On a master, I just want the totals. I don't want a master with the water on one and the wastewater on another. I just want,
Yeah.
like, this 27,000 we're talking about, we'd have a master sheet that would show that and show $54,000, or what do we say, 27, $54,000.
Yeah, it wouldn't take much. Once I
Well-
got the spreadsheet set up, it wouldn't take much.
Think about it and see
Yeah.
what's involved. Like I say, I don't want to create a lot of work or anything, I have to do it, but if it's not hard to do, geez, I just think it would be, I'd like to just look at a master sheet and say, well, for the month overall, this is where we're at. We're under on our expenses by so much, and we're over on our revenue by so much,
Yeah.
whatever.
That's what this sheet here intended to do at one time, but I don't know if that's what you're thinking.
No,
No.
it doesn't have everything on it,
No.
it's just, yeah,
It's a summary, but
yeah. All right, well, we'll leave that, and you can take a look at it.
Okay.
So I did have a quick question, it kind of goes to what Gary's question on the water department, that for the health insurance. Is that a monthly, it's going to be about that much each month?
No, that includes 2 months premiums.
In 2 months?
So it's-
Oh, okay,
it's
I'm sorry.
Like
Yep.
$5,800 each department per month, roughly.
Okay,
So that has December and January in it, is what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying, it has, the way it's set up, it has December deductions pay for the month of January, and then what was deducted in January pays for the insurance premium for February. But when we get all through, there are 12 months. And then the last entry will be backed out for 2024 is the way they do it.
strange.
I know, I hear what you're saying, I just don't know if I understand why that's the way it would be. Like, I would think that December would be in last year's final.
It was, Gary, and what happened, there was the wrong vendor that the check had been made out to, and it came back to the office, and when it was corrected, it appeared in January. So, and actually, both of them were paid in January.
Yeah, it went to MMA and not
Maine
Maine
Municipal
Municipal.
Association rather than the
And I,
MMHD.
look, I understand now what you're saying, but
Yeah.
at the same time, when I think about that, January should have been reversed back out and put into December of last year. Because it was actually January's.
That's
or-
what Tim will do, right?
That's what Tim
Yeah.
will do at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
That'll be one of the adjusted journal entries.
all right.
so I hate to belabor this, so these expenses are not necessarily the true expenses for the month of January?
No, because I'm just trying to think. Different, of course, the insurance increased. The vision that the employee pays, that increased, and the dental increased. So it's according to who has all of these extras, but that's pretty much in the ballpark, Jay. Like 5,500, 5,600 for each division, water and wastewater.
Okay.
And all these areas that have zero in here, what's gonna happen with them? Is there gonna be
Just we haven't received a bill for any of those lines yet, so there's,
wow,
And what we did receive were actually 2024 bills.
yeah.
so whatever we receive in February, well,
Will be for January.
yeah. And then February's we'll receive in March, is that the deal?
That's usually the way, when the bills come in.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Any other questions on the January financials? Jay, you look like you're thinking.
No, I'm good, thank
Okay.
you, I'm sorry.
All right, can we get a motion to approve the January financials?
So moved.
Second,
All in favor?
I want to back up just a little. Did they vote on the budget itself?
Yes.
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
separately,
Did
yeah.
that first, that's what,
Yeah.
okay, just want to make sure.
Multi-department update. I guess,
Yes.
John, that's you.
Yes, I don't, we've already kind of talked about it, but Matt Till was appointed by the city council on January 27th to fill our final vacancy to bring the board up to full appointments.
Just, excuse me 1 second. Do we have all kinds of this letterhead, Caribou Utilities District? No?
Nope, you can do anything you want to it.
Okay.
It's all, we don't have any, it's all digital, so just print it out as needed.
And I mean, the names will be corrected,
Yeah, that's why I was asking.
Yeah,
yeah.
It is on some sheets here, but
yeah, as some of the stuff I had done already before Matt was elected, so it should be corrected on everything moving forward. And actually, I did the monthly one today
Yeah.
for when I
yeah.
start tracking for next month.
I'd like to welcome Matt and thank him for bringing the average age of this group below 60.
Yeah.
Enjoy the short
Welcome
skirt.
aboard.
Thanks.
Sorry, John. go
Yeah, no,
ahead.
no worries. The only other thing for multi-department is we had our heat pumps installed last month. They're working great so far, which is it's good to finally get that project wrapped up. And then for water departments, it was not a lot of new news, but we had, as of today, we had the guys have fixed 6 main breaks since last meeting. It's been really busy. They fixed the 6th one today in front of the office. It was miserably cold this morning, but they were concerned about the lost water and wanted to get it taken care of, so they tackled it today, and it's nice to have them take the initiative to get those done as soon as possible.
Railroad Street was kind of a mess too, right?
That was a mess, yes.
Oh.
Oh,
They had a main break on Railroad Street last week. Fred and Derek were in Augusta at a conference with me when they got the call about the water break. They drove home from Augusta, worked all day, fixed the water main break, drove back to Augusta that night so they could be there for training the next morning. So I think that shows some dedication to the two of them. I tried to convince them. I said, just consider the conference a loss. Go fix it and stay home. And they're like, no, we've signed up for it. We paid for it. We want to get as much as we can out of it. So they turned around and drove back down. So it was nice to see them kind of take the initiative on doing that.
Is there any contingency plan? I mean, if the CUD couldn't fix it?
We
is-
could hire a contractor, and we had thought about that morning, but it gets fairly pricey, and
Yep.
we have the crew and the equipment to do it. We'd like to do it ourselves if
Sure.
if we don't.
But there
think
is
so.
somebody that in
There
a
is, yeah.
real emergency,
Yeah.
you could,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. There's a few that I know we could get for sure, and there's probably
Yeah.
others, but there's
Couldn't have been much colder than that day.
Oh,
no, yeah,
poor
yeah,
guys.
yeah.
Was that a large line?
It was a large line, and that's one of the highest pressure zones in the city. So it lost a lot of water
Yeah,
quick
yeah.
before they got it isolated. It was over 20 feet in one of the tanks. So it drains out quick when it's split at the bell up 3 or 4 feet, and
Wow.
so when it opens up that wide, it can lose a lot of water quick with that amount of pressure down there.
All right.
And then onto the wastewater. we're still looking at options for the generator at Grimes. We're a bit concerned that the FEMA application that we put in for the generators may not go anywheres with the current political climate. We don't know for sure, but we need to start looking at other options kind of in parallel as we wait to hear back from FEMA. So we're continuing to work on that.
Is that something, that's a permanent installation, isn't it something you could lease and hook up temporary?
We looked at, in the event that the current generator failed and we needed a rental, it's $10,000 to $12,000 a month to rent one, to have it just sitting there. It's not very, at that rate, we'd have to probably move.
And where does it come, where would it have to come from? That size generator isn't
They-
sitting here in town
No,
anymore.
United Rental can get them out of Bangor. I'm not sure
Okay.
where they're getting them from, but I guess they're fairly available.
Okay,
So we're trying to, that's one thing we're working on right now, is to see if we can get a plug put in for a portable, and then get like an agreement with a local electrician or a farmer that may have a large generator that sits around most of the time, that we could get a lease agreement or something with them. So
how big a generator would it have to be?
I think it needs to be at least a 250 kW.
Wow,
So it's
Big one.
decent size.
yeah.
Yeah. And that would just control, all we really care about is the pump station. That's, the aeration can go a length of time without aeration. If we need aeration, it's like another 150 kW worth for that, but we just want to keep the water flowing. That's the main goal.
All right.
On to other business. We alluded to it with the auditors were there from Chester Carney today and yesterday, and they finished up I had a quick meeting with Tim before I left, and everything looks good. Just the normal journal entries, nothing out of the ordinary was discovered, and probably within the next month they'll have their report wrapped up. And I want to thank Sue and the other office staff for all the work that it takes to kind of feed information to 4 of them yesterday. So it was pretty busy at the office. And we have a couple liens to release on 61 Washburn. We received payment on those. So we've got the paperwork to sign to get those liens released, which will be good. I don't have any others. Do you see?
No, I'm just looking through here, John.
I had a couple of questions in the budget workshop we had.
Yep.
We had some stuff you were recommending that we dispose of. Do you have a timeline you want to work on that, or is that going to be springtime?
I'm not sure. Yeah, we haven't thought that far ahead on it, I guess. We'll probably see kind of, first we want to find out about what the stuff is worth, and then we'll kind of go from there. Like the vehicle that's really not worth much, we'll probably get rid of it sooner rather than later, but the generator and stuff that has some value, we'll want to make sure we get a pretty good estimate of what it's worth and try to market it and try to.
Yeah, is there a municipal site where you can put that on?
There is, yeah. There's Municipid is one, and I think there's a couple others that you can post them on.
For that equipment, anyway.
Yeah.
If all else fails, we can use Marketplace.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
John, you might mention the insurance reimbursement that for the insurance claim we had filed. We've received one.
Oh,
and
yes,
The
yeah.
second one coming in.
Yeah. Yeah. So for the 2 power surges that happened last fall, we did submit to our insurance for reimbursement. We received a check for one of the claims. The other one, we just finally got all the invoices in to send in, so they're going to be paying on that one as well. So I think, what, close to 10,000 between the 2 of them?
Yes, it will be, because
Yeah.
we have a $1,000 deductible on
Yeah.
our policy.
Yeah.
And that was a direct result of a generator failure, right?
Uh,
No, or am I thinking
Power
different?
surge.
Oh, the power surge,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
power
Yep.
surge, yeah. Yeah.
All right, anything else, John?
No, the only thing I have is just to confirm our next meeting.
Yeah, anything else from the board?
Well, I had one thing that I brought from the Rural Water Conference that I had overlooked before, but they were talking about the utility employees being part of their first responder network, and that they really should be involved in these emergency management exercises, and they should carry the credentials that identify them as emergency employees, emergency responders.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that would be worth looking into and getting up to speed on.
Did they talk about how much time would be involved in training and everything else, David?
Yep.
or-
Oh, it wouldn't be training, it would just be, they'd be involved in the exercises that they do with, they have the fire department, the police department, and sheriffs and all of them,
Yeah.
and why not the utilities? We're an integral part of that.
Yeah,
And that those employees should have the proper credentials.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it would be for credentials. I can check into it though, but they do tabletop exercises, and we have been invited in the past.
Yeah, our guys came to the police line without the right credentials, they couldn't get in.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's yeah, for like like a civil emergency,
Yeah.
or if the fire department has a street blocked or something, we need to get in. Yeah. Okay. Yep. And kind of on that note, Caribou is part of the main Warren network, which provides mutual aid between utilities.
Yeah,
So we can go help another utility, another utility can come help us, and all the insurance information, all that's to cover everybody is already predetermined as part of the contract. The labor rates are all predetermined, so it's, in the event that the community needs help in an emergency, it's easy to deploy employees and not worry about, is our workman's comp covered, and who's gonna pay, and all that stuff has been determined, so. It's hardly ever used, but it's nice to know that it's there if it's needed.
all right. Anything else? Next meeting,
Scheduled for March 12th, if that works.
that is the second Wednesday, is it?
Yep.
Okay.
Does that work for you, Penny? Thank you.
All right,
That's all I've got for tonight.
Move to adjourn.
Second?
all in favor?
Thank you all.
Microphone.
Thank you, Penny, very, very much.
You're welcome. Jay said he would do it if we only had a less complicated system.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't qualify it, I'm just qualified.
I'm not that bright, so I can flip a switch.